well, and sometimes it looks like a beach ball, and that's what every hitter ever will tell you. You go through those kinds of streaks, and the $64 million question is why? Why is it you don't see the ball? Sometimes it's just the pitcher. Sometimes you just don't see guys' release point very well. Most times it's mechanics, and the hitter's head's moving forward a little too much. There's a little too much anxiety, and they're not a real relaxed stride. Whatever it might be. But when all of a sudden you see the ball well and hit one out, then everything kind of clicks. Max has got a great extra base hit and home run swing. He hits the ball incredibly hard. And to go back to the first part of your question about the mindset of a young guy figuring it out, I really believe that it took a while for Max not to be confused in the batter's box about what he was trying to look for, what he was trying to do against a certain pitcher. And I've said before, I've seen him in years past take fastballs right in his home run zone, and I just scratched my head and said, why in the world is he not unloading on that? And then swing at breaking balls in the dirt, or even breaking balls that are strikes early in counts when it was a tough pitch to hit, and why make an out on that pitch before you have to with 2 strikes? And I think that's just that's maturity and just getting more and more comfortable in the big leagues, because he has all the talent in the world. He's very strong. He's strong with a bat in his hands. A big end whistles through the zone as well as anybody's when he's swinging at the pitches that are good for him to hit. And last night, I think just all of a sudden he hit the first changeup. The first pitch he hit out was a changeup, and I think when you all of a sudden when you have to be looking for fastball against Bauer and adjust, and he saw the changeup well and drove that ball in the seats, and now your mind clears, your emotions clear, your stomach no longer has is no longer tight because you're in a slump. Then you're just up there trusting yourself that you just see the ball and react. And so the next time up, he hit a curveball, and it just gets better. I mean, okay, I've hit his changeup, now I've hit his curveball. I'd really rather hit fastball. Let me look for that next time. And then he got a fastball and cranked that one. So I think he's maturing mentally from an approach and standpoint, and just a comfort standpoint, and allowing his natural ability to take over.
You mentioned he's a strong guy. I want to get more into that. I do want to thank Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent, works out of Champlin, but you can work with him no matter where you live. I haven't lived near Tony's office ever, and I still get all my insurance through Tony. So does Michael Russo, Hoaglund.
Hey, Minnesota sports fans. This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Hoaglund. I need you all to ask yourselves this question. If you're in an at-fault car accident and you are sued for $700,000, how much of that $700,000 will my current insurance company pay? If you are unsure or can't answer all $700,000, you need to give us a call. State Farm has been number 1 in car insurance since World War II and number 1 in homeowners insurance since 1964. For a no-obligation review of your current policies, call us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at www.champlininsurance.com.
You mentioned Kepler being a strong guy, and it is interesting. When I covered the Twins in the mid to late 90s during the bad years, you walked in their clubhouse, you didn't see a ton of guys who really looked like exceptional athletes. And that's, listen, there have been a lot of bad body, great players in baseball, and that's one of the things I like about the sport. It's not just about, working out. There's so much more to being a great hitter or a great pitcher. But there was kind of a lack of athletic ability in those clubhouses, and it was reflected by the finer roster. Now you walk in that clubhouse, and you look at Buxton, Kepler, Polanco, Barrios, you see guys in there and you go, okay, these guys could play a lot of different sports. They just happen to choose baseball.
And not only that, all these guys, there's, with the possible exception of La Tortuga, I mean, everybody else that's on the non-pitching roster looks like they could be models in muscle and fitness. I mean, these guys are big, muscular guys, and not and athletically muscular. I mean, it's I'm envious of them. Players today have gotten big and strong and cut, and it's they're making a lot of money. There's new opportunities for them to places to go and work out all winter long and get their bodies into the shape that they're in now. But it's remarkable to look at these guys and then watch them take it out there on the field and be as athletic as they are. It's pretty cool. I like the bad body example that you gave. I mean, there are guys that throughout baseball history that haven't had great bodies, but just had the natural ability, for example, to hit. And you got to love those kind of guys. But it is really impressive to see the strong athletic bodies doing what they're doing. I think the number of athletes, fantastic, universal athletes in Major League Baseball right now is higher and of greater caliber than there's ever been in the game, and it's great to watch.
Absolutely. Let's do some Twitter questions from MN Sports. He's basically talking about my piece. Said good piece today about the poll ads. Love the new front office field organization. Can't wait to see what they add next. I guess let me sum up what the message I'm trying to get across from my piece today. It's if you see the Twins playing at a 680 rate here in the early summer with a very likable team, and your only reaction is that the poll ads are cheap and they should be doing 8 more things, I just think you're missing out on the joy of baseball, which is watching an interesting team figure it out during the long summer. And listen, it's not that I'm never going to criticize the poll ads. I have. It's not that I'm never going to criticize Falvey and Levine. I have. I make suggestions to them all the time that they turn their noses up. That's the way this whole relationship works. But to let anger at the poll ads be your only emotion when you see a good baseball team on the field, I just think you're missing out. You're missing out on one of the cool things of being a sports fan.
Totally agree. That's why I said I'm in your fan base one camp, and I can't say it any better.
From Gordo is accusing me of being condescending to the fans. No, well, I don't think so. We'll have to disagree on that one. From Monty Meyer, everyone's clamoring for relief pitching. In your opinion, who in the minors could be potential trade bait to the Dangle Cave, who seems ready for most MLB rosters? Cave's a nice player. I don't know that he would bring a lot back in a trade. I think to get maybe a top of the line relief pitcher, you might have to trade somebody like Nick Gordon, or when they traded for Odorizzi, they traded a good shortstop prospect, but he was only like the 3rd or 4th best shortstop prospect in the organization. I think it'll be a trade more like that, somebody with some high-end potential who hasn't done it yet that some other organization is excited about.
If there's a proven closer on somebody's team, it's going to fetch a high. He's going to fetch a high price. There's no other way to get around it. We can't do what my son, when he was 8, used to say, and rattle off 8 terrible players in the Twins big league roster and organization, and say, why don't we go get Troy Tulowitzki or Kershaw or somebody. Why if they can get 8 players, why wouldn't they do that, right? So that's not going to be the case. It's going to be hold your breath and say, man, we hate to let Nick Gordon go, but we feel like we have to have this particular player, this pitcher, for example, now and for the next 4 years to support the guys on the club that we have. It's going to be something, like that. Nick Gordon and Jake Cave, and somebody else probably. If you're talking about a frontline proven closer, that's just the way it's going to be. But that's why the stocking of the system is so important, and what they started doing a couple of off seasons ago is so significant. And they've got a kid named Wander Javier that has been hurt. He's a shortstop. He's been hurt for 2 years. He hasn't really gotten it going yet, but they think that he might be potentially as good as any of them. And so now, and if you talk about middle infield, you've got Polanco and Royce Lewis and Wander Javier and and Nick Gordon and Jonathan Scope. So you've got guys that at some point in time you're going to say, I'm happy with having this guy play second base and this guy play shortstop, and I've got two more guys coming. And if we're going to get a closer, we got to give up one of the other, the fifth guy, whoever that is. And it's just one of those things. It's just a different way of saying, do you want to spend $50 million on Kimbrel, or do you want to give up a really good prospect? Those are kind of on par. One measured by dollars and one measured by potential upside.
Paul Watchnick asks basically what we're talking about here. Since the Twins are likely to win the division, what should the front office be doing to prepare to go deep in the playoffs? Do you focus on the short term or look 2-3 years down the road? I think that is what this front office is committed to doing, is trying to win now without giving up the opportunity to win for the next 10 years. I think their mandate is, hey, make us relevant and make us good for the next 10 years, and also take a shot when you think you're really set up for it. And the thing is, when you have good players at every position and you already have a deep bench, really I think the only, you just need probably one or two more arms, I think, to round out the pitching staff. Maybe it's two relievers, maybe it's a starter and a reliever. And I think that's about all you need. Do you agree or disagree on that one?
I agree with that wholeheartedly, and that I agree with what you think the mandate is. I think that's exactly right, and that's what we've been talking about them. Two off seasons ago, that's what I thought that they would be doing. That's what they have been doing, and they're miles ahead along the road to doing that. Both competing for postseason right now and setting the organization up to just continue to provide talent that's going to keep them there. So I think that they're in as I said, a really good spot. And I think if you look at who has won World Series here, generally speaking, they've had someone that could close the game, and they've had three starters that give them an above average chance to win the game when they take the mound. And so having, if that's any indication, then they're assuming that Barrios and Gibson and Odorizzi are going to continue to pitch the way they have. Then they're in pretty good shape there, especially if Martin Perez, gets it figured out on a more permanent basis. And so you're looking for a closer and then another arm, whether it's a starter or somebody else to go along with, let's say, Taylor Rogers. So I would agree with you with your assessment. Two more arms, one a closer.
From our friend General Soreness, how much better? And this is directly aimed at us in our job descriptions. How much better is it showing up at the ballpark every day when your team is crushing the way the Twins currently are, and does that make guys want to spend more time there? I think he's talking more about
to me. The answer is yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's talking to me, but my answer is, my God, I want to go cover this team, and I've had years where I really got sick of going to the ballpark and watching the same crap every day. But let's take it from the player and broadcaster perspective from Roy.
Well, it sure is fun talking about them, and much more fun this year, obviously, than in years past for the most part, except for the one run they made. But I would say that Lonnie's point is a great one. There's nothing from a player standpoint, a team standpoint. There's nothing better in the world than having an expectation of success that's been backed up by performance, already. So guys are, they're running to the clubhouse now because they expect to succeed. They expect to play well. They expect to win games. And the corollary to that is the pride that you have when you look around at your teammates. And you look, I used to stand out at shortstop, on the good teams that I was on, and I would look around first base, second base, third base, and the outfield. I go, yeah, love him.